Oh God.
I don't know what my only crime was being happy. That's all I did.
I hate you. Holy shit, Danny.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asante, got producer boy in the background. We are back here once again to review tonight's episode of AEW Dynamite. I'm going to apologize off the bat if I call it in and out a little bit. I don't know what's been going on with StreamYard tonight, but
it's magic.
So
it's magic.
I apologize for any technical issues in advance.
Danny cast a spell on Rev that he's sort of time displaced at this point. So he's gonna come in and out. He's kind of like the Flash in the Crisis on Infinite Earth story. You know, he's just like an apparition that like he shows up when he wants to. I'm not a Marines biologist. I don't understand how this works, but I'm happy he's here.
I was gonna go Loki and time slipping, but that works too.
Mine was earlier.
Fair. Anyway, we started off tonight live from Daly's Place. We haven't been back at Daly's Place in a long time, and obviously that had a very heavy connotation on the show as it was AEW Dynamite homecoming. A lot of tributes and stuff to Brody Lee, which we'll get into later. But we started tonight with a good old-fashioned match that we've never had before: Hangman Adam Page versus Claudio Castagnoli, and this was a serious slugfest.
Have we really never had these guys go at it before?
So they have obviously faced each other when the Elite were facing off against the Blackpool Combat Club, but this is the first time they faced each other one-on-one, according to commentary at least. This match ended with Hangman reversing an avalanche Ricola bomb, attempted with the Hurricanrana, and then he followed it up with 2 buckshot lariats for the win. But James, this was a really good match. Like I said, it was very hard-hitting. I think the word slugfest was used quite often throughout this match, and I have to agree. They had a lot of creative uses with the unique surroundings in Daly's Place. Obviously, you know, they have the much smaller stage coming right out to the ring on an angle. You have the stage for plays and stuff right next to the ring itself, a much smaller area. So we had some cool stuff with that, like Claudio pressing Hangman onto the ramp and Hangman hitting a moonsault off of that stage. We also had Claudio kick out of a Deadeye, which I thought was cool. And we just had both men's hitting a lot of really cool counters and being able to power out of big moves. And it was just a very old school, well fought match, very reminiscent of the Daly's Place days during the pandemic.
Oh no, I completely agree. I mean, look, tonight's episode of Dynamite was nicknamed or was titled Homecoming, and I love Daly's Place. I have very fond memories of Daly's Place as an AEW fan. Some of the most magical moments happen there, granted under some of the most tumultuous of times during the pandemic, but to me Daly's Place will always be synonymous with AEW. I love how they kind of went back to their old setup, you know, the ramp being in the corner and all that jazz. But I thought tonight was a really fun homage to that era where we just got some really good wrestling, some very different matchups between guys that we're not too used to seeing go back and forth with one another. And I very much enjoyed this first matchup of the night. Hangman versus Claudio was... he didn't show up until the main event, but as good old JR would say, this was a slobber knocker. And I need to say, I think it needs to be stated by as many people as possible. Hangman with a beard, that's hot. That guy's hot.
It's not just the beard too. He's his mustache is a little more grown in than the rest of it. Yeah. He's
given me, and I know I just called this man hot, and then I'm going to compare him to somebody who's not hot, but he kind of reminds me of Silas Young.
That is a throw. Honestly, I haven't heard that name in so long. I don't remember what he looks like.
He's the last true man in professional wrestling. Hi, Melly. You're here for Mohinder. Wrong night, wrong name, but appreciate you being here. Genuinely.
We're gonna have to get into all that shit at some point tonight, I guess.
At some point, but I don't have the energy. We'll deal with it when it comes to us. But and Eric in the comments saying no way Sting wants his last match to be against the Bucks. We will talk about that as we get to the main event and as we deal with everything. But I can say with no hesitation, I have heard this match being pitched for the last few months. It's something that I wasn't shocked when it happened tonight. Whether or not you like it or not, we could get into that. I've actually had a few people reach out to me and say that they're not thrilled with this, but I kind of like it in the sense that, you know, some California boys will be retiring the Californian star himself, Singh. But again, we'll get into that later. I enjoyed the matchup. These guys beat the crap out of each other. Hangman looks like a man on a mission. He has a singular goal in his mind, and he is not going to let anyone get in his way. That goal being become AEW World Heavyweight Champion one more time, or at least again, I should say. So I enjoyed this matchup. These guys really brought it to one another. Claudio hitting that big swing and Taz saying, yeah, there's just nothing you can do when you're in that situation. I loved it. I think these guys have very similar styles. They're not like, I wouldn't call them both just pure powerhouse wrestlers, because they definitely, like Hangman definitely does the flippy stuff. Claudio definitely does the technical stuff. And I think they match up very well here. They both have a very come and get it style. And I think they brought it to one another. So great matchup. Hangman getting the win here, and a much needed win, in my opinion. He's got to build some momentum if he's going to make a case for that world title shot. And I think this was just another step on that journey.
Yeah, obviously this is very good for Hangman. He beats Claudio, coming off a very good showing in the Continental Classic. And then I think I agree with you matchup-wise. These guys are just two strong, athletic dudes. And, you know, because they're so powerful, even if their secondary skills don't necessarily aren't the same, you are able to get a good, it's a styles make fight thing. Their styles mesh very well together, and you end up with an absolute banger of a match like we had here tonight. And I think it really set the tone for the rest of the night. This was a very wrestling heavy episode, and I think that is, again, reminiscent of the old days of AEW and the old days in Daily's Place, which is probably why it was like that. So I was a very happy person. It also means I'm going to have to recap far fewer promos, which makes my throat very happy. But yeah, like I said, I think this set the tone for the night, and it set it very strong, and it set the bar very high for the rest of the evening, which made me very happy. And obviously, we will get into Hangman more a bit later, as we had some stuff from some more stuff from him as well. After this, we had a quick tribute video package for Mr. Brody Lee. Obviously, as I mentioned, there were a couple tributes to him tonight, mainly in the form of two 8-person tag matches. The first of which saw Orange Cassidy, Dustin Rhodes, Adam Copeland, and one of the handpicked proteges of Mr. Brody Lee, Preston Vance, face off against Lance Archer and the Mogul Embassy, comprising of Brian Cage and the Gates of Agony. This match ended where you had that whole thing where everybody just hits their finishers in the middle of the ring and everyone gets taken out. And the last two standing are Archer and Toa Leona, who had Orange Cassidy upright for Archer to take out. However, Cassidy was able to duck it, and Archer took out Leona instead, which incensed Brian Cage. And the two of them got into it before Cage put Archer over the top rope and out of the ring. Cage was then taken out by Dustin Rhodes, and then Adam Copeland was able to hit a spear on a staggered Leona before that was followed up by a Mr. Brody Lee discus clothesline from Preston Vance for the win. James, very fun match, bit of a house show vibe, kind of.
Yes.
It was a tribute match, and it just made it really, really fun. It was cool seeing Archer back. I feel like I haven't seen him in a while. And very cool seeing Jake the Snake back with him, especially when he knocked Jose the assistant out on the outside. We also had with Orange trying to hit choke slams on first Cage, who he couldn't even get his hand around his neck, and then Archer before he actually finally hit one onto Khan. So this was just a whole lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. And obviously you get Preston Vance picking up the dub here in honor of Mr. Brody Lee.
Oh, yeah. Obviously, a lot of the guys in this match had a personal connection to Brody. Lance Archer being one of them. Orange Cassidy, as we saw in that promo package highlighting Brody, was one of his first big defenses with the TNT title when Brody was champion. And Preston being the handpicked member of the Dark Order by Brody Lee. And I know there was some pushback online about why is Preston Vance teaming with these guys. And I think there is some validity to that argument. Maybe you could have just had Preston in a singles match. Same thing with Anna Jay for later tonight. And I think they accomplished a little bit more with Anna Jay than they did with Preston. But you know what? I don't care. This was a fun, no-stakes matchup, which sometimes you need. And I enjoyed seeing this hodgepodge of guys. You know, I despite the tumultuous nature of how that match went, I liked seeing Lance Archer, the Murder Hawk monster, flanked by these three gargantuan men. You know, it was pretty awesome. So I enjoyed it for what it was. And I love the fun of it. Orange Cassidy, I cannot describe who he is right now. I can't put my finger on what type of talent he is. I can't put my finger on if he's a good guy, if he's a bad guy, if he's serious, if he's comedic. I think Orange is who he wants to be at any given moment. And I respect that. I love that. But him repeatedly going for that choke slam and then jumping for joy when he hit it, I loved it. He bounced with that choke slam, and I love that. So that was a lot of fun. Preston Vance, man, I really hope they figure him out sooner than later. I know he's doing his thing with Rouge and La Faction, but he's got the look. He's got the size. I think as long as you put a mouthpiece with him, he could do good things. I'm not saying push him to the world championship in any, like, that is not in any way what I'm pushing here, but give him a shot at a mid-card program and let's see what happens. I would like to see that happen. I think enough time has been put in that I'm willing to see if that investment's worth paying off. But fun matchup, and I'm interested to see where Archer goes here with the Gates of Agony, because Archer has been popping up a lot lately, but he hasn't been doing anything consistently. So I would like a storyline for him if he's going to be around, especially if Jake Roberts is going to be sticking around too. I love Jake. I'm so glad to see him on TV again. And if we got these winning pieces, let's put them to use, right?
Yeah, Archer unfortunately falls into Monster of the Week role a lot, which is a good role, but a lot of times it leads to him and taking losses, to bigger, more important talent or talent that they're trying to push. So it would be fun to see something done with Archer and Jake the Snake while Jake the Snake is still able to be on TV and stuff. And as for Vance, I would like to see him do more. He's kind of stuck with LFI, and I don't know how much they're doing with him. Granted, a lot of that is on Collision, and I've stated my gripes about Collision's timing before, but I didn't really have a problem with these guys tagging. What's going on, Nas? Good to see you, man. I didn't have a problem with these guys tagging because they've kind of established in the past that that when they do these types of matches, people will put aside their differences to honor Mr. Brody Lee. They've had those one-time only matches. I think this was even back when Cody was still there. And it was Cody, Preston Vance, and I forget the third wrestler, but it was Little Brody's -1's three favorite wrestlers. And they were in a 6-man tag. And these guys didn't like each other, and they didn't care. They were just like, we're here to honor Brody. We're going to go out and have this match. So I'm totally cool with them doing it. And I kind of like the way that commentary was like, maybe this is Tony Khan trying to remind both Preston and later Anna Jay where they came from and why Brody picked them. And he's putting them with these people, trying to give them a nudge in the right direction instead of hanging out with the wrong crowds. I think that's a little bit easier for Anna because she's kind of right now in a transitional period as the JAS has dissolved, and she's kind of with Menard and Cool Hand Ange, but kind of not. But for Vance, he's obviously stuck in the middle of a very heel faction. So could this be the catalyst for him to get out and then, do something in the mid card, like you said, James, have a program there? Possibly. But even if it's just, hey, we're honoring Mr. Brody Lee, let's put all our bullshit aside, I'm totally fine with that.
No, likewise. As Nas said in the comments, big ups to Brody Lee, RIP. One of the big things I got to commend AEW for, and despite him not being too friendly with AEW anymore, it was one of the reasons why CM Punk signed with AEW, was how they handled Brody Lee's medical situation and his unfortunate passing. And I respect so much Tony Khan and AEW making sure that his legacy is kept intact and that the respect that he's earned and he's deserved after years of entertaining us and being a friend to so many backstage will not go away. Yeah, let's acknowledge it. Nas in the comments saying, by the way, Nick, Chris Collinsworth sucks. Yes, he does.
That is some inside baseball right there. All right. For those of you who follow actual me on Twitter and not the pod account, I have tweeted weekly Chris Collinsworth sucks tweet every Sunday Night Football for like the last, 10 years?
Yep.
Almost however long I've had a Twitter. I'm not a fan of the way he calls games. It's no disrespect to him as a person. Just not a fan of the way he calls games. So we're going to have to deal with it at the playoffs. You'll get a playoff Chris Collinsworth sucks tweet whenever that game is. I hope it's not the Peacock one.
I love how you say, no disrespect, but he sucks.
No,
that's very Ricky Bobby of you.
It's I mean, I've announced games before. I know it's difficult. I just don't like the way he calls games. And I think he says some stupid shit sometimes. But the guy knows football. I'm not saying he's dumb. I'm saying I disagree with the way he calls games. And
fair enough. Let's move on from this poor man whose livelihood you're attacking.
I skipped the we don't go on tangents thing. One last note on this match, though, because you were saying how a lot of these guys had, relationships with Brody. I would like to point out, they mentioned Adam Copeland was very good friends with Brody because they were big Maple Leafs fans. So,
and I think
a lot
of
webs weaved here.
Did Copeland wear a Maple Leaf shirt coming out to the ring, if I'm not mistaken?
He wore a John Huber shirt with the Maple Leaf behind it.
Gotcha.
So I assume that was Maple Leaf's colors, but I'm not entirely sure because I'm colorblind. I wasn't sure if it was blue or purple because obviously Brody wore a lot of purple with the Dark Order. So, yeah.
My God.
All right. Let us
really committing to the colorblind bit, huh?
I'm seriously colorblind. I'm not even 100% sure if this hat matches his jersey. I just know they're both blue, and I'm guessing that they're the same ones.
I got nothing. Anyway.
Next up, we went backstage to an interview with Bullet Club Gold. And Renee asks Jay White about the Undisputed Kingdom. And the Ash Boys immediately do what both James and I did last week and confuse them with United Kingdom. And then we had them saying that, that's where Jay White's from. And Jay's like, just ignore them, Renee. Renee's like, she's from New Zealand. Anyway, after we got through all of that, Switchblade calls out the Undisputed Kingdom's quest to hold all the gold, saying that Bullet Club Gold can do it better, whether it's for singles titles, tag team titles, or trios titles. You guys all know.
No! What's happening? I was so happy for 2 seconds. Why? It's not true. I don't even know what it's under.
The mention of trio titles then brings the Acclaimed over, as they are obviously currently the AEW World Trios Champions. And they actually come over to offer a truce, saying that they can hold all of the gold, although the Acclaimed will keep the trios titles, and then they'll help Bullet Club Gold hold whatever titles they want. And they can team up against their common enemy in the Undisputed Kingdom. Bowens says, we'll create a super faction, and it'll be the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. And Jay White's like, well, we don't do factions, we're a gang. But we'll think about it. and we'll consider it, and we'll see what happens. And then
it bothered me so much, by the way, that he said we're a gang. Your literal name is Bullet Club. We're a club.
Well, whatever it is.
Oh, God.
They're just not a faction either way.
Yeah.
Also, at the end there, you had a great bit from All right. Behind the scenes here, Danny, who has not been on this show in at least 2 months, it feels like, popped in, put up the James and Eric Hate Foreigners banner, and then just left.
An untrue banner, mind you. A very untrue one.
At least he timed it with me talking about a foreigner and Jay White. It would have been really funny if it was just a bunch of American guys. Either way, who the fuck is Danny? That's a good question, Dragoon, and hi. I haven't seen him in a while. I don't even know what he looks like anymore.
Tune in sometimes on Monday nights, occasionally.
I know this is a quick thing, but in terms of the segment, but the Ass Boys were great in this segment.
Yes. But by the way, does Ass Boy Jr. have a tattoo of the governor from Walking Dead on his shoulder?
Which one's Ass Boy Jr.?
The smaller one.
I don't know.
I think that's Austin. I think it's Austin.
Austin was great. At the end of this, when Jay left, he was still there counting how many titles there were, and then Jay had to pull him away. But I honestly have no idea. I haven't really gotten a good look at their ink, so I couldn't tell you.
Danny banned Dragoon from the comments.
Again? The Dragoon gets banned so much. Unban Dragoon, Danny. Leave him alone. All right, let's move on. We then had Danny.
He's in a 5-minute timeout for being dumb. Okay, it's reasonable.
And it's gone.
I'm just happy he was here at all. I missed him so much.
Is Danny just playing producer voice tonight in the background?
I think so, but like
just
chaotic
causing more chaos.
Voice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Glad we're on the same page about that. All right, let's move on. We next up had Samoa Joe come down to the ring. And this was his first appearance on Dynamite, live on Dynamite, since winning the AEW World Championship from MJF. I think he had a promo on Collision, so cool. Anyway, as a new champion, Joe is changing the rules for who gets to challenge for his title. There's no
I don't
more
think he gets to do that. I'm just putting that out there. Does he have that power?
He apparently thinks he does, and are you gonna fucking tell Samoa Joe no?
I mean,
exactly.
I wouldn't. He scares me, but yeah, I'm not a professional wrestler.
And I don't think Tony Khan is going to be saying no either anytime soon. So, as Joe was saying, there's no more coming to the ring and crying with your sob stories. There's no more whining on social media. Wink, wink, nod, nod. You bring your record, you bring your reputation, and if you're deemed worthy by the Championship Council, you will get a shot at the title. As he finishes saying that, Swerve Strickland comes out, flanked by the entire Mogul Embassy, because he definitely needs backup after what happened last week with Hangman. And Swerve comes into the ring and says that when he went after Hangman, he was just going after Hangman's spot, and it wasn't personal. But then Hangman made it personal, and we all saw what happened there. So when he comes for Joe, Joe should know it's not personal. He just wants his title. This then prompts Hangman to once again come out, and he just is staring daggers into Swerve. He comes out, he runs down everything he did in 2023 from reuniting with the Elite and Blood and Guts and the Texas Death Match with Moxley, before finally getting to the fact that he had lost sight of the AEW Championship last year, but now he's refocused and he's going to take it back. Hangman, when he finishes this, just starts staring down Swerve again, and Swerve and the Mogul Embassy leave. And as they do, Hangman turns to Joe and says that he hasn't forgotten about what Joe had done to him when Hangman got jumped by the Devil and his goons. So as revenge, he's going to take the title. Hangman then left, and seemingly we were done here, but oh god, the chaos. But we then had Hook come down to the ring. Hook came out, and he had challenged Joe on Saturday on Collision for a title shot. Hook came down, went face-to-face, nose-to-nose with Joe. All he told him was 1 week. 1 week, and he walked out. And then that title match was later made official by Tony Khan for next week on Dynamite. So, James, clearly all of this is setting up the first little bit of the run here for Samoa Joe's title reign. We have Hook next week. We have Swerve and Hangman. Hello again, Danny. As challengers waiting in the wings. And obviously, we had everything with the Hook and Jinder that Danny has so helpfully put on the screen. But we'll get to that in a bit, James, as I just want to focus on what happened in
It's not going to be
right
me.
now.
It's not going to be me. Just go to Danny.
Well, Danny doesn't get any rights right now because he hasn't been here
No,
2
but
months.
I agree. But he's going to interrupt me anyway. So please, let's just cut out the middleman, me being the middleman in this instance, and just go to Danny.
Thank you. I was going to interrupt you. I was
Yeah, that was
very
the
early. I thought he was going to throw to you way quicker, but he gave more detail, which, fair enough. Sorry, I'm a little sick right now. I don't know if you can hear it, but bro, my real look, I know we're still getting into it in a bit, but the whole Hook versus Jinder thing, anyone on the Jinder side, you're dumb. Your opinion is invalid. You shouldn't be able to vote. And I just question your sanity. I would say see a therapist, but like, what's the point? The therapist is going to say the same things I said, but with a softer tongue.
And with the added flair of blaming their mother.
And charging you money. I'm giving you that for free. You're welcome. Public service over here. But the big problem here is that Hook should have been challenging for the world title 2 years ago. That's the real issue here. Said we've been dawdling around forever, having him fight with the FTW title, fighting jobbers, fighting lower card guys. My dude should have been the youngest world champ in history. I think that's all I have to say about that. Hook's awesome. I've really come around on Joe being the champion.
Yes, good. I'm glad.
Bro, bring it on. Bring it on, TK. It's gonna be tough though because I don't have Twitter, so like he's gonna it's like a weird echo that I'm not gonna be.
He'll get you on Threads, and you'll read it on your Instagram feed.
But not the whole thing though. It'll say read more, and then I can't click on it because it's gonna tell me to download Threads, and I'm not gonna do that.
What's happening right now?
Oh my god! What is with today? Hi, producer boy.
I love this episode.
This episode is currently the most chaotic it's ever been. We have like multiple people producing. Dragoon saying that Danny putting him in timeout is the most work he's done for this podcast in at least a year. I mean, he did do Monday Night Raw the other day. Chaos.
Like a week and a half ago.
Other day is relative.
And it
was
another day.
It was another day, yeah. So you got us on that one.
And Dragoon making sure to say he does miss Danny. We all miss Danny. We love Danny here.
Thanks. The feelings on your end. What did you think about this, James?
I loved it from beginning to end. Joe, first off, we're not talking about the fact that Joe came out with a new AEW World Championship with custom side plates.
Yeah.
Not only is the Triple B
and the black leather again.
Yeah. Not only is the Triple B gone, we're dealing with a new version of the original AEW World title. And let me just say, even though I didn't hate it the way a lot of people were clowning on it, I didn't hate the concept we saw online with the black backdrop over behind the AEW lettering. But I really do like this version of the belt, and I am all in on the side plates. I think that's a great idea, both as fans of wrestlers having their own individual title and for marketing purposes. Whoever has replaced Mrs. Buck is already doing a great job.
Can I just quickly pose a question? Do you think if I removed all three of us from the stream, it would just highlight this comment in the middle of the screen?
No.
Okay.
I don't think it would.
All right, so I'm not gonna bother trying then. But all right, continue, James.
So I love Joe coming out with a new championship. It automatically makes him feel like a big deal, and he's gone. It automatically makes Joe feel like a big deal, and then with everybody that came out, it just felt bigger and more exciting and more tumultuous. I've used that word a few times already tonight, but more chaotic. I'm so in with Joe as champion and all of these challengers coming out of the woodwork. All of these people who, mind you, none of them challenged MJF for the world title. We never saw MJF versus Hangman for the world title. We never saw MJF versus Swerve for the world title. We certainly never saw MJF versus Hook for the world title. So right out the gate, we're 2 weeks into this title reign, and we have 3 very fresh contenders. So that, to me, this is a huge win. Swerve being very consistent with his goals. None of this is personal for him. He'll get dark. He'll get dirty, but he just wants what he wants. He wants success. He wants the title. Felt very in character for him. I loved it. Hangman.
I really liked that. Sorry, just because I think you made a really good point. I really liked that they didn't drop the like Max verse effect of everything, where Max had all these plates spinning at once, and just because he's not there right now, or ever again, doesn't mean that they're not going to continue to do that. And Joe just didn't move on, and now, like, Joe didn't just start a feud with Hook, and now he's not doing anything else. Like, no, he's doing the same thing. He's juggling multiple balls. He's spinning multiple plates, and that's exciting. That's fresh. And the fact, like you pointed out, that it's people that MJF never actually faced. Although, since you said that, how great would it have been for a Hook MJF, not necessarily a match, but a promo segment where MJF talked for 12 fucking minutes and got himself mad, like, throughout his promo, just by inferring what he thinks Hook is thinking. And then Hook never really says a thing and just like punches him in the face. Like, that would have been an all-time segment on Dynamite. But I thought that was a really good point. So I'm really happy they're still spinning plates, and the fact that Hangman doesn't feel like he doesn't belong despite losing to Swerve every time. Like, that's a credit to how they've handled that feud, I would say. And you were going to touch on Hangman. You were going to say.
Oh no, I first up, I think you made a really great point there. And yeah, with Hangman, he came in focused. He came in, like I said earlier during his match, he's a man on a mission. He's got a goal, and he's going to do whatever he can to get there. He will step through Swerve if he has to. He will step up to Joe if he has to. And I think this is very much building towards what we sort of predicted last week, that we might get a triple threat for this title between these 3 men. And I'm all for it. And Hook, I don't know why he circled the ring. He didn't interact with anybody. I guess he wanted to be like a shark, like circling his prey, but like, I would have just gone in the ring, man.
You gotta
just tired yourself out more.
He usually just walks around the ring during his entrance.
I guess. But I loved the interaction. It was as understated as Hook is. It was straight to the point. 1 week, that's all he needed. The only thing I would have liked, and this is just me being a weirdo, I would have loved if he kind of smashed the FTW title against the world title. We all kind of forget that FTW is not for the win. It's fuck the world title. Doesn't make any sense. It should just be FTW. It's not ATM machine, guys. It's ATM. It's not pin number. It's pin. I digress. But
wait, is it FTW World Championship or is it FTW Championship?
FTW World Championship. It's very annoying.
I feel like you're making that up.
Look it up. Every time the announcers talk about it. All right. Anyway.
That's like it's the NWA World's Championship. Like it's
another
defended on
annoying
multiple
one.
planets.
Another annoying one. And there's no hyphen in it either. It's just worlds. Joe should tap out Hook in 5 seconds, beat him down after, so a real man like Jinder Mahal could come out and save him like Hogan saved Brett from Yokozuna. So
I want to make fun of him. Like, I want to be like, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, actually, I'm going to say something nice about Dragoon. This is actually the ideal sort of comment you should be making about this situation. You should only be joking about this situation because it is a joke. Because Jinder's a joke, and him being in this conversation is a joke, and that's the appropriate way to react, is just have a laugh about it and not take it so seriously. So, hats off, Dragoon, or in your case, put the hat on.
I'm not going to lie, Danny. I was not expecting this angle from you. I wasn't sure which way you were going to go with it, but backing Hook and not Ginger was not what I expected.
Let's
I thought you were just gonna lean into the memes of the Ginger memes. I really did.
No, because nobody loves to joke around, especially me. I'm very anti-joke, but like, you got to be cautious with memes because look what happened with. I'll never forgive us as fans for this, but look what happened with Tamina.
Yes,
look, like we can't do this shit anymore, and we can't pretend that like the meme from that predates Jinder being champion is made him being champion okay. The same way that Awesome Truth being a thing in 2024 is not okay, and it's pandering to one of the worst time periods of wrestling, and it's bad, So I don't want to. I want to joke around about it, but Hook should have been world champion again. That's how I'm going to joke around about it by saying something that I don't actually disbelieve. That Hook should have been world champion 2 years ago.
I'm going to back you up on that. I'm pretty sure if I go back deep enough in our
we had this conversation, yeah.
We absolutely said Hook should have been world champion 2 years ago. So I will support you there. I'm cool with talking about this for a split second because I don't think we're going to make a second video about it.
I'm not wasting any more breath on it than we're going to now.
In regards to Jinder and in regards to Hook, this was a situation that really blew up when it shouldn't have. Like, granted, I don't blame a single person for tweeting about this. I don't blame a single fan for joking about this. This is, as Danny said, one giant joke. Tony Khan got his feathers ruffled by USA Network's Twitter account. He responded as Tony Khan tends to respond to things. And then the internet, despite the fact that Tony Khan, from a storyline standpoint, from a booking standpoint, is 100% right, Tony Khan spoke when literally anybody else should have for him. If Hook had tweeted, it would have been great. If anybody spoke about it the way Tony did, they would be right. But because it's Tony, he just looks terrible. He looks terrible. And I will say, I've seen a lot of people bury Tony for saying, how could he say it's not right that he's shitting on a talent, no matter what company they're from. He never said anything bad about Jinder. I think that needs to be stated. He never said a bad word about Jinder. He said that it doesn't make sense that Jinder is booked in this situation after having not won a match in the last year.
And that being said, he didn't say anything bad about Jinder, but Rev will say something bad about Jinder right now. Tell him, Rev.
Go for it.
I don't really have anything bad to say about Jinder.
Boo,
I actually don't.
boo.
I think
means
Tony
to say
is being an idiot here. Like you said, James, I think it was foolish what Tony did. He got baited and he bought it hook, line, and sinker. No pun intended. So
it was intended. It was 100% intended.
Yeah, that pun very intended.
It was not, but it was.
You made a meal of it.
Tony's got a point saying that Hook is a credible challenger to Samoa Joe right now because he is 23-1, I think, and holding the FTW World Championship. I also think that in storyline, I don't think Jinder is maybe a credible challenger, but it makes sense that Seth would accept the challenge of a former WWE champion because he's fought everyone else who's challenged him. So I don't think either of these matches are that stupid.
No, not at all.
Jinder's not going over Seth. He's not going to be feuding with Seth for multiple weeks.
Wouldn't it be funny,
this is no problem. Honestly, there have been so many, people talking about on like Reddit and stuff, saying how they should just have Jinder go over him really quick just for Seth to win it back in a couple of weeks, just to piss Tony off even more. But both of these matches make sense, and everything that came out of it, because Tony had too many fucking White Claws again, has been ridiculous. You had Jinder tweeting out who the fuck is Hook before deleting it. You have multiple people trying to back up their guys. Yeah, he deleted it. As far as I can tell, it's gone.
Okay.
Every time I click the
Jinder,
Jinder.
He did. Okay.
Deleted it because I think people probably told him like, bro, don't actually make it about Hook, like, because that's the thing is most people tried to not make it about the wrestlers, and if they did, they were up in the wrestlers, talking them up.
Yeah.
So even though I thought Jinder's tweet was actually very funny,
And then Taz called him out.
yeah, I mean, look, I'll say the mean thing about Jinder. You suck, bro. Quit while you're behind.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with some friends today where they're both unironically and ironically in support of Jinder for Monday. I lived through the Jinder WWE title reign. I was a fan during that time. He was bad. He I'm good for him. Apparently he's a really nice, awesome human being. I'm happy for him as a person that he got that reign. But man,
I'm happy for him that he got in shape. Like he got fucking jacked. And that was cool.
I mean, if I drank as much juice as he did, I would too.
Yeah, a little help there.
Look, I'm not trying to start a smear campaign or anything here, but I don't want to start a smear campaign or anything. But are you saying that people who train with Athlete X juice? Because I would never say that. But if you're gonna say it, I just want to clarify.
I cannot confirm nor deny for legal reasons this story isn't true. But it was a very quick turnaround from the Jinder we knew to the Jinder that became WWE champion. Less than a calendar year.
Look, man, are you not willing to do whatever it takes to achieve your goals? By the way, Dragoon, I would love for you to co-host with me. I would probably just never throw to you and have you sit there in silence, but we'll see.
This Monday coming up. Book it, producer boy. But look, just to finish, because I don't want to spend too much time on this. I hope for Jinder's sake he has a banger of a match on Monday against Seth. I hope for Hook's sake he has a banger of a match against Joe in 1 week, whether it's Dynamite or Collision or wherever.
I think it's Dynamite.
I want all four of these guys to do well. That said, if Jinder gets memed into a title win, I don't think it's going to happen. But if he does get memed into a title win, this isn't the win against Tony Khan that his haters think it is. It's a win for Tony Khan if he was able to meme Jinder Mahal into the WWE World Heavyweight title. That's a win.
And then presumably fucking up at least a couple of weeks worth of plans for Seth and his title reign. So
and genuinely, he could say that he got Jinder more over than The Rock did. So, that's a weird win. That being said, Jinder's whatever. Like, am I looking forward to that match on Monday? No. Did this change anything? No. It's a whole bag of worms that deserves a lot more dissection than we've given it, even though we've given it a lot. But I'm sorry I've derailed the show with this, but to be fair, it was my intention. So
yeah, I wasn't really surprised that you did it. I will say one last thing on this because we do. One last thing on this because we do have to move on. But the best thing to come out of all of this was Bowen's attempting to back Hook up. Somebody telling him to shut the fuck up. Bowen saying that I won't. Hook is one of my best friends. Another person replying, "Fuck you. Go back home and scissor your wife." And all caps, Bowen just goes, "I'm gay."
No. If you're gonna say it, you tell the story. You tell it right.
Well,
I'm gay, bitch.
That was the tweet. I'm gay, bitch. I forgot the bitch part. Beautiful. No notes. Great job, Bones. All right, let us move on now to a backstage interview with timeless Tony Storm. Come on, computer. There it goes.
This was amazing.
Right. Yes, so Renee asked Tony about everything that happened last week with Deonna Purrazzo debuting. Yes, it was. And all that stuff. But before Tony can answer, Mariah asked Tony if she watched her match, her debut match. Tony says that she was sent a screener and watched like a frame of it, and then didn't get to watch the West. And then she goes, Mariah, did you do an arm drag? Good for you, darling. Renee then clarifies that she's asking Tony about Deonna Purrazzo and her debut, saying that Deonna says she's coming for Tony's title, and Mariah adds that Deonna hit her in the face. Tony gives Mariah a chocolate and responds to Deonna saying she might have heard of her. Her name sounds Italian, and then tells Luther to set up a meeting with Donna, which, shout out to producer boy, somehow jumping the gun on getting Deonna's name wrong by a week. It's not the Wi-Fi, god damn it. It's the fucking website. Stop saying it.
It's just, can we do a quick character study real quick that James is put through the fucking ringer on this podcast night and day, on and off the podcast, in our group chat. He is relentlessly bantered and harassed by yours truly and everyone else in general. Rev has like one thing that we've been busting his balls about for like 3 weeks.
If you're gonna bust my balls, be fucking accurate. It's not my Wi-Fi.
He is cracking under it, dude.
All right, so
multiple banners.
So all right, so this is what we're gonna do. Producer boy, I want you to listen. Danny, I want you to listen. Whenever there's a problem with Rev and like his connect, what the fuck?
I'm listening.
Whenever there's a problem with Rev and StreamYards and he looks like he's lagging, don't write Rev and his Wi-Fi. We'll be correct. We'll say Rev and his damn camera, Rev and his StreamYards or whatever.
Rev and StreamYards, yes.
Yes. We will be right about this when we call it out.
I think, but
you're gonna call him
also in a roundabout way, Rev, you're admitting that all the things we say about James is true because you're not getting offended by that. So you're kind of throwing him under the bus here. You know, you're not standing up.
Do I join in these reindeer games? Not really.
All the time.
Easy there, Ben Affleck.
Dude, that's not who you want to be in that situation. Or is that Mark Wahlberg? They're the same. I don't know.
Wow.
Can't think of one, bro. Cannot think of one ever.
Bobby Lashley. Swerve Strickland. Shinsuke Nakamura.
In all seriousness, you don't actually answer this, right? That makes it seem way worse. Like you have nothing. You don't answer something like that, right?
I have.
Anyway, we bought some time for Rev to sort out his Wi-Fi situation. So what were you saying, Rev?
Tony, to finish up.
I love this segment. I know I said it,
into her catchphrase, chin up, tits out, and then goes line. I can still tell I'm lagging horribly. She forgets the final line, and Mariah feeds her, watch for the shoe, and then Tony just flips out on her, saying she's ruined the entire moment and leaves in a huff. Am I still going here? It's been like in and out for me, so I warned everybody at the start of the show.
It's great. It's great. Can't you get like an Ethernet cable to just plug straight into your laptop to fix this sort of thing? But this segment was,
there is no Ethernet adapter in my laptop.
That is surprising because, you are like a computer guy side, but I don't even know if my laptop has it. So who am I? But this was so funny. This was so funny. Tony was fantastic here. Mariah played her part great. I don't love that they're sowing seeds immediately off the bat. Like it felt like week one. It was like that, and it feels like way too soon. Like I want this to have a little more time to breathe. But this was so funny that it's like I don't care. The segment was just an A+ interview. Oh God, I'm so glad Deonna's Italian. It's it's one of the races you can still make fun of, and it's fine. We don't mind. So it's great.
Who's we?
Us Italians. I speak for all of us, being half Italian.
Fair enough.
And yeah, no, that's we don't mind. So it's great. And an Australian feuding with an Italian, it's great. Gianna's from New Jersey. It's just one of the best parts of New Jersey, I would say. It's like her Six Flags. My friend Eddie, John Blattner. I'm sorry, I don't mean to dox these people, but this address is 1414 Jersey Road. Don't worry about it. I didn't say which one. It could be Eddie, it could be John. So at least there's that.
That's true.
Could be Deanna.
One of them's in for a surprise.
Exactly. But yeah, this is a home run segment. I'm so into this. It's I don't want to say the women's division's back, but we're going somewhere. This is good. I feel good about this. They only had one match tonight, of course, but
one match,
the segment was so good.
Though. One match, 2 segments. They were building.
That's pretty par for the course. But the segment was so good that it kind of makes up for everything for this week.
Yeah,
and this week only.
I gotta say, we're talking about the women real quick, and they were talking about free agent and all that. We went back to the Wendy Richter joke. Hey, Mercedes/Sasha, I was mean what you did today. I was really mean. People got really excited. Don't do that. Why?
Because you said we're talking about women. I assume. Sorry if I jumped.
It's an instinct thing. I get it. It's a bad instinct.
Sorry if I jumped the Billy gun. I think you're the one with bad instincts here, man.
Okay.
Sorry, I was going to hide it.
So confused.
But Mercedes tweeting or Instagramming, I think it was Instagramming, that she was at an airport, Jacksonville at airport. That's wrong. That's dirty.
Who cares what Mercedes Martinez tweets? Who cares?
You're right. Mercedes Monet, the CEO herself. Please just show up somewhere. I have a weird feeling she's just gonna come back in the Rumble. I know that was sort of teased or maybe potentially leaked a little while ago, but that's a bummer. But anyway, moving on. Just don't do that again, Mercedes. It's mean.
She's gonna do it every week.
I know.
Was it even her that sent out? It was Jacksonville, or was everyone just kind of speculating it was?
So she Instagrammed 3 pictures into her story, and one of them was an upside down, mirrored photo of the Jacksonville airport.
I bet you $5 she's had that waiting for
yeah. Oh no, I'm sure. But either way, not nice.
Let's move on. Next up, we had Sammy Guevara versus Ricky Starks. Ricky and Big Bill will defend their tag team championships against Sammy and Chris Jericho in a street fight on Saturday night. Not surprised Danny left for this match. Hi, producer boy. You feeling okay?
On the binge eating, if you cold turkey, if you go to
Okay, he did not know, so we needed to stop that.
Yep, that was definitely an accident. Anyway, this match ended with Ricky reversing a Goes to Hell into a jackknife cover, but Sammy was able to kick out of it. Sammy hit a little bit of a misdirection, and then he was able to hit a follow-up super kick to one he hit earlier, and then got an inside cradle for the pin. It was actually kind of a quick ending to the point where I wasn't planning on writing any of that down for my notes, but it worked, I guess. Anyway, after the match, Sammy went down to bend down and shake Ricky's hand. And while Ricky accepted, because these two were friends, Ricky's always, or at least he used to always be on Sammy's log, Ricky made sure to hang on to Sammy's hand long enough for Big Bill to come out from the back and attack Sammy from behind. But this advantage was short-lived, as Jericho then came out with Floyd. He got one over on Big Bill for a bit, but all 4 men went spilling into the crowd, and they brawled all the way up to a commercial while Judas was playing the entire time for some weird reason.
No, I think I
can
know
guess the reason, and it was
yeah.
probably to drown out booze after Danny and producer boy ruined it for everybody at fucking Long Island. So, James, I usually expect a little more out of these two guys in their matches. Maybe they were just holding back a bit because I got a big match on Saturday.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad, but it
No,
wasn't
not at all.
top of the line good for them. And then obviously everything with Jericho right now is just going to be a little weird in general.
I agree. I think Judas playing was, like we said, 100% intentional to drown out boos. Two, the match itself was fine. I'd say better than fine. It wasn't great, but it was good enough. And it's like you said, they have a big match on Saturday. I'm sure they wanted to save some stuff for Saturday. That makes sense to me. It's not like, no disrespect to Jericho or to Big Bill from a talent standpoint. It's not like they're going to be adding too much to spectacle for the match. I'm sure they're going to have good spots, both of them. But the real meat and potatoes is probably going to be Ricky and Sammy, and I'm sure they wanted to save the good stuff for Saturday. But yeah, I'm fine with how this played out. It's so weird to think how we got here. That at one point this title shot belonged to the Young Bucks. Then it got transferred over to the Golden Jets, and now it's back to Jericho with Sammy. What a weird journey it was to get here. I know there was a lot of real life stuff that got involved, but wow.
Yeah, and right after Sammy betrayed Jericho as well, or at least the last time pretty much we saw him on television, he had betrayed Jericho, and then he was out with the concussion for all that time, and then obviously he and Ty had their daughter, and he comes back, and all of a sudden he's siding with Jericho again. So,
Sammy was heel for like all of a week and a half on TV.
Yeah.
Like in terms of TV time, I think he was a heel for like a week and a half. So it's very interesting stuff. But look, Battle for the Belts never really matters. I don't know if there's ever been a title change on Battle for the Belts except for maybe the first one. And even then, I don't think there actually was a title change. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's just get past it.
Yeah, it's them throwing Turner an extra half an hour, or whatever it is of programming. That's all it is. Yeah. And it's sure the matches are good and entertaining. Just I think I've watched maybe the first one, and I
watched a couple, but I at this point now it's just the highlights.
Yeah, and also they're almost always on Saturday night too. So it's like an extra Rampage. I barely watch Rampage.
It literally is going to air an hour after, like as soon as Collision is over, it starts Battle for the Belts. So it's the third hour of Collision, essentially.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Okay, moving on. Next up, we had the other 8-person tag match of the night, which saw Willow Nightingale, Kris Statlander, Thunder Rosa, and Anna Jay going up against Julia Hart, Skye Blue, Saraya, and Ruby Soho. Obviously, much like the 8-man tag earlier in the night, we had a major member of the Dark Order handpicked by Mr. Brody Lee in this match, being number 99, Anna Jay. And we kind of discussed her relationship with Brody and how they kind of finagled her into this match with the faces and how it was a bit easier than with the earlier match. But I digress. Towards the end of this match, we had all of the women get involved in a quadruple superplex, which was kind of cool, as all of the faces suplex all of the heels at the same time. And that pretty much took everybody out. And then slowly they got up one by one, and somebody else would get up and take the next one out with a finisher or another big move. Eventually, until we just had Saraya and Statlander, and they were able to crawl to their respective corners to tag in Anna Jay and Julia Hart, them being the last two women standing. After a bit of back and forth, Anna was able to get Julia in the Queen Slayer, but Julia backed Anna into her own corner, allowing Skye Blue to tag in. Skye and Julia briefly have the upper hand, but Anna is able to get Julia Hart out of the ring, and then I believe she escaped a Skyfall attempt by Skye Blue and was able to lock in the Queen Slayer on Blue for the win. So another house show feeling match. It was pretty good, a lot of fun. It was kind of weird, but good seeing Thunder Rosa back. I didn't watch her match on Collision, so this was my first time seeing her back since her injury, which was nice. And I really liked that entire sequence from the quadruple suplex on. The front of the match was a little slow, but that whole sequence was really nice, James. And just another good match honoring Mr. Brody Lee with another former Dark Order member picking up the W.
No, absolutely. I think a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago, I was commenting that I feel like Julia had become everything they had wanted Anna Jay to become. And granted, I think a lot of Anna's trajectory was unfortunately like torpedoed by Brody Lee's passing. Like a lot of the plans they had for her got thrown out because Dark Order needed to become baby faces and they needed to become these beloved characters. But I think that Anna has had a lot of stop and go. She's always been there when they need her. They always use her as like a heater to set up for bigger feuds for challengers and stuff. Or if you have a new champion who's looking to get some defenses in, Anna typically gets the call. But I don't think she's had anything of her own in a very long time. Again, some of that to do with Dark Order and Brody. Some of that having to do with being inexplicably, I guess not inexplicably, but unfortunately tossed into the Jericho Appreciation Society. But,
by the way, I heard that dig at me and Eric in the crowd at World's End, Rev, okay? Just because I walked away.
Well, all right, I need you to know you put Eric in the thing, and I'm pretty sure he was discussing something kind of private, so we had to immediately take him out.
I think he pocket dialed in, but either way.
I mean, no, I definitely put him in.
Yeah,
but like, why is he here then?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't want to victim blame, but like. Yeah, and this is all post-production stuff we should be talking about, like shouldn't be bringing it up now, James, but
fair enough. I
would also like to say they rely on Anna Jay when they needed Jade to have a really good match, surprisingly. So
yeah, that's true. I like I said, I typically think she delivers. I think her biggest failing or her biggest struggle point is her promos. She is rough on the mic, but in the ring I think she delivers, and I think she delivered tonight. So I was really happy to see her getting some TV time again. I was really happy to see her mixing it up with a champion and getting the win for the team, similarly to how Preston did earlier for the men's match. So I would like to see Anna have another match. Again, it's going to be another title defense for Julia Hart, who's looking to rack up some defenses. So this kind of fits Anna's MO, but at least there's a nice story that leads to it this time. And she got a nice win over Skye Blue. So good stuff all around. Like you said, weird seeing Thunder back. Very little fanfare to Thunder's return, right?
Yeah.
I'm not tonight specifically, but basically the entirety of how this has been handled. I don't know if Tony has some type of issue with her. I know there were rumors for months and months about Thunder having issues with the women's locker room. I heard most of that was not true, or at the very least had been squashed. But again, a former women's champion, a former women's world champion returning and then just sort of being there feels wrong. Granted, it's not that different compared to how a lot of the other former women's champions are treated, but it would have been nice for her to get some fanfare. But good match. Glad the good guys got the win, and looking forward to seeing Anna probably getting a title shot.
I genuinely don't remember when Thunder returned. Was it at the pay-per-view?
No, it was on Collision a few weeks ago.
Yeah, all right. There you go. I couldn't even remember. Go ahead, Danny. I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, it's fine. I was going to say that I can't. Oh my god, I don't want to get her name. Harley Cameron, right? Is her name?
Yeah.
I like her inclusion in the Outcasts. I think it's been fun. It's been very. It's a little thing, but it's been good from what I've seen of it. But yeah, so other than that, I kind of. Once I they played the video package about Brody, I was like, oh, like Anna Jay's going to pick up the win in this, because on paper I was like, why is she on the babyface side?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, okay, like it all made sense. But yeah, why not? Her versus Julia for the TBS title, it's something different.
Yep.
And it's just cool to see how far Julia's come and how settled into this role she is. She's really the only winner in the House of Black. There's a bunch of fucking losers, and she's the only one who seems happy to be there too. So that's nice that she's gotten rewarded for that. She's really the Samoa Joe of the women's division, in that regard. To Malachi Black's being the CM Punk of the women's division. It's kind of falling apart on me here, but you know.
A for effort, though.
Yeah.
A little rusty.
So,
Damn it, I had a point that I completely missed out. It is what it is. Nothing important. Let's just go.
oh, because it's about the women. Okay, I gotcha.
No, it's because there's something I was going to say. How good could it have been?
Wow, don't put yourself down like that.
That's the rest of the pod's job.
I mean,
All
yeah.
right. After this, we had a quick promo package from Wheeler Yuta. He's facing Eddie Kingston for the Continental Championship, or whatever the fuck they're calling it, on Rampage on Friday. And then we follow that up with Roderick Strong versus Bounty Hunter Brian Keith. Big Bounty Hunter Brian Keith fan. He has quickly become one of my favorite guys in this company. I was a little upset he was getting jobbed tonight, but that's okay. I think he had a great showing. Obviously, the entirety of the Undisputed Kingdom came out with Roddy. Keith actually almost pulled off an upset win here at the end. He got Roddy up in position for the Tiger Driver, which is his finisher, but Roddy was able to block and then escape before following up with a jumping knee out of pretty much nowhere. And then Strong was able to hit Keith with the end of Heartache to pick up the win. After the match, Adam Cole grabbed the microphone. He basically cut the same promo he did last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he sprinkled in a couple extra things, saying that they're not there to earn anyone's respect because they should already have it. And then as he was going through each member of the crew again, he added a couple of things saying that he thinks the International Championship is going to have Roddy's name on it in the near future. And he altered the bit about Wardlow. Instead of saying Wardlow is going to give him the title, he said that we are going to win. We will win the AEW World Championship. So interesting spin on that. But James, this was a cool down match. It was meant to be a cool down match.
Nope.
But I thought it slotted in really nicely in the card. Just what they did with it, it did its job. Again, big Brian Keith fan. Hopefully they, do some cool stuff with him, whether it's in Ring of Honor or they start building him up on main roster. Also show his entrance. It's really fucking cool. Yep. But like I said, this match did its job. And then the promo, I don't really know what that was. They should have just gave Keith and Roddy 5 more minutes.
I think it's hard to have a cool down match with Roddy Strong. The man is going to deliver. The man is going to hit his stuff, and his stuff is hard hitting and it's action packed. So I think it was a good bit. I'm liking Brian a lot too. I want him to shine, and I think we're not really going to see that shine on Dynamite for a little bit. I think we'll see that shine in Ring of Honor or on Rampage or maybe even Collision, maybe. But I think those other 2 shows are going to be where we see him get his stuff in a little bit better. But he did look good. He did look good here. Roddy is a good opponent to have because he does bring out the best in you, and he brought it to Brian Keith. And I like what Cole is saying because it's true. He's hyping these guys up, and partnering that up with a showing like this for Roddy was really good. But Roddy isn't the one who needs the rub right now. The ones who need the rub are Wardlow and the Kingdom. It doesn't matter that the Kingdom are the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions. They are looked at by most people as goobers, So I need them to get big wins over teams if I'm supposed to take them seriously. And Wardlow, whatever.
Before you get to Wardlow, I still call him Mike Kanellis every once in a while by accident. So yeah, I can see why he would be in goober status.
Exactly. That's my point. Like I like the Kingdom. I will say that. I like the Kingdom.
They're good.
I like what they are as a unit. I like what they represent for the Undisputed Kingdom. Every team needs an Anderson and Gallows, in my opinion. Every team needs that tag team that, they're probably not going to win more often, but they add to the team, their bodies for the team, and they're capable. And those 2 are more than capable. So I hope they get the respect. Look, Matt Taven is the only person in Ring of Honor history to win the Ring of Honor title at Madison Square Garden. Yeah, like A lot of people might disagree that should have happened or not. We won't get into it. But the truth is, these guys have something to offer. Let's see it. Let's see them get wins. Let's see them do something bigger. And hopefully that's what next week is. Like today was Roddy. Let next week be the Kingdom or Wardlow or both.
Yeah.
So, yeah, time will tell. But I'm liking this so far. They're probably going to get a month of this, maybe 2, before I'd imagine MJF returns.
It depends on, how successful that labrum surgery is. Although, I guess I did hear he was trying to rehab it instead of getting surgery on. So, if that's successful, maybe it'll be a month or 2. But if it's not successful, it could be a lot longer. So,
yeah, the storyline has so much potential, and it's genuinely a bummer that so many people have been hurt at various points in it. Cole is still hurt. It sucks, but I have faith in them to nail the landing, to stick to it. But I'm rooting for everybody here. I am rooting for everybody here. But what's interesting, I do want to point this out, by the way. We're looking at the potential of, this Bang Bang Scissor Gang, right? That's what they're called, potentially. Yeah. The Bang Bang Scissor Gang. You have the Acclaimed and Bullet Club Gold. That looks so uncomfortable.
I was trying to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, I get. Yeah, you did the best that you could. For those who are just listening to us, there were some very interesting hand motions being made.
I'm trying to do a guns up. I'm trying to scissor a guns up, and it's not. Do I do it here? Like, I feel like I'm cursing in some random language. Like this is an insult, and
I think this is how to do it
in like Indonesia.
But if that comes to fruition, you have 6 members of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. You have the 3 members of Bullet Club Gold. You have the 3 members of the Acclaimed. And I'm sure that's going to break down into a trios match for the title at some point. But if they do go after the Undisputed Kingdom, at the very least, depending on when they do it, they're a man down. Because the Undisputed Kingdom is 5 people with a healthy Cole.
Yeah.
So who's their 6th man? Or does maybe Billy sit a match out? I don't know. But regardless, let's see. I mean, a lot of people are speculating Kyle O'Reilly coming back soon and probably joining up. Maybe they get 2 men and they get both of Red Dragon, which I don't see happening. I think Bobby Fish is persona non grata. He did something worse than CM Punk. He sided with Triple H publicly. But yeah, lots of questions being raised here.
I would imagine that after the Bang Bang Scissor Gang breaks down, which I don't think is going to last very long in general. So when that breaks down, I wouldn't be surprised if you had a 3-way trios match between the Acclaimed, Bullet Club Gold, and 3 members of the Undisputed Kingdom. Yeah, I would think either Bullet Club Gold or the Acclaimed retain in that, and then the Undisputed Kingdom aren't involved in the finish, just because you already have 2 guys with titles. You would have to have at least one of those guys in that match, unless you just have them freebird the trios titles, which would be kind of cool, and everybody could just carry one, including Cole. But I would think you kind of end up in that direction at some point, probably at Revolution. That seems like the match that ends up happening there. This way, they're busy, but you don't have MJF around, so you don't have to deal with that yet. And then it just buys them time until Cole gets healthy. All right. Let us move on. We then had a backstage interview with Deonna Purrazzo. She is so happy she is in AEW. She's still on Cloud 9 from her debut. And if Toni Storm is going to pretend that she doesn't know who she is, Deonna will send her a screener just to remind her. Deonna then announces that her debut AEW match will be on Collision this Saturday, and then she is then interrupted by Red Velvet. Red says that she'll be making her Collision debut this Saturday as well, so they should get in the ring and stir it up. And she does her stir it up thing. And Deonna goes, "Is that your stirring arm?" Red's like, "Yeah." And Deonna's like, Good to know. And then she leaves. And Renee, as they go to commercial, they faded this out too fast. Renee goes, "You should probably watch out for your arm." So that's going to be Deanna's debut match on Saturday. I actually think that's going to be a pretty good match, James. So
yeah, I think so too. I think Red Velvet is a great opponent for somebody who's entering the company. She is a safe worker and she works a fun style, and she's a great seller. So I nothing against Red Velvet. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Deanna's going to win that match, and I think they're going to look like $1 million, both of them.
Yep, and Deanna's probably going to snap Red's arm, or at least try to.
Well,
so yeah, I think it's a very smart move. You have somebody, like you said, safe worker, AEW original, as she pointed out, go against Deanna here, and it's a very smart first match for Deanna as she joins the AEW Women's Division. Following that, we then come to the main event of the evening, which saw Darby Allin and Sting face off against Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Hobbs of the Don Callis family in a tornado tag team match. You had good old JR Jim Ross on commentary here. Ric Flair also appeared. Hooray. But this match ended pretty crazily as we had all four men fight up to the top of the ramp near the Tron. And as Hobbs and Sting were getting into it, Darby and Takeshita were over on the side. Takeshita sent Darby into the steel of the bleachers next up that were placed up on the stage at Daly's place. And then when Takeshita tried to hit a running knee, Darby was able to get out of the way, and Takeshita's knee went right into that steel. Darby then climbed.
That was a rough spot.
Yeah. Darby then climbed up to the top row in the bleachers and then stepped onto something that they placed there for him, and then did a fucking coffin drop from like 30 feet in the air onto Takeshita, taking both men out. After that happens, Hobbs gets all pissed off. He rips down the straps, and he takes Sting and carries him all the way over down to the end of the stage where he and Takeshita had set up tables earlier in the match. However, Sting is able to fight Hobbs off, get him in position for a Scorpion Death Drop, and then the absolutely insane 63-year-old man hit the Scorpion Death Drop off of the stage through the tables, although really just one of the tables because he missed the near one, and then is able to crawl onto Hobbs and pick up the win on the floor since it was tornado, false count anyway. James, it's Sting, it's Darby. I always love these matches. Darby took some crazy-ass bumps in this. Not just the coffin drop, but there was a point a little bit earlier where fucking Takeshita and Hobbs just grabbed him and swung his arms and legs and threw him like a sack of flour all the way, or like a big bag of rice all the way across the ring. Darby did like 5 flips in the air when that happened. Just absolutely insane. Also, Ric Flair did have a small role in the match, and I had to laugh because he came in and he started chopping Hobbs, and Hobbs just no-sold the fuck out of them. And then so Flair got upset and poked Hobbs in the eye. And that actually helped Sting and Darby make a comeback. So it was funny, 30th player in the game, but dude, he could not get out of the ring at all. But no matter what, I love this match. It was awesome. We'll get into what happened after in a minute. But as you know, we're getting closer and closer to the end of Sting's career. This was his last match in Daly's place after he debuted there at Winter is Coming. The original Winter is Coming. So I think it was the original one. But either way, that was his debut. It was. I'm glad that they went all out for this match. I feel like it's very important. He had a good match there. And yeah, how do you not like Sting and Darby match at this point? They're always great.
Sting is a man going out on his own terms, and I respect that very much.
They said that on commentary, actually, verbatim.
And I am going to miss him. But man, is he going to make sure we go out with a bang? And he's
definitely making sure we all go out grasping our hearts because we thought he fucking died.
I mean, you just described the entirety of his AEW run.
True.
I appreciate this run so much. I appreciate everything Sting has given us in this AEW run so much. And this match was a very good representation of what he's given us throughout this AEW run. Sting wrestled on Collision. I don't know if you know that, by the way. He wrestled the Workhorsemen.
I know he does sometimes.
He wrestled the Workhorsemen.
Yeah, I heard about that.
In less than a week's time, Sting wrestled JD Drake, Takeshita, and Will Hobbs. I would say the other member of the Workhorsemen, but his name is escaping me at the moment. He wrestled these men who are not household names, these men who are not stars of the company. I mean, yeah, sure, Takeshita and Hobbs are familiar faces and liked by the audience, but they're not staples of AEW. And Sting is wrestling.
Henry would be the other.
Thank you, Anthony Henry.
Sorry, Anthony Henry.
He wrestled these 4 men on his retirement tour. Sting has always been about giving to whatever company he's in, and he's doing it. JD Drake, he talked about that being a dream match of his. This match on Dynamite, Takeshita and Hobbs feel more important because they wrestled Sting in their career. So, very grateful for everything Sting has given us and is continuing to give us up until the end. And that table spot was scary because Sting's head definitely looked like it hit the floor because they just slid off the table.
Yeah, he was pretty he was down for a while. I was shocked he got back up.
That was not an easy spot. So more power to him, especially with not much time left. So I thank you, Sting. Thank you, Darby. You know, I know it's very easy to overlook Darby with the Sting spectacle. Darby always gets a big shining moment in these matches, and of course we talk about it. But Darby has been the best partner Sting could have asked for, in my opinion. And it's been a magical run for these two. I know we're about to get into what happened after the match. And I'm excited for that. I really am. But there is a sadness for me that Sting's last match isn't going to be against Darby in a passing of the torch type of match. But maybe that's for the best. Maybe Sting finally has a partner that doesn't betray him. Or maybe I just jinxed it. I don't know. Clip it and we'll find out in like 2 months.
I guess we will find out. But let's go on to what happened after the match, because after the match, I spoiled it too quickly on the bottom there, but Tony Schiavone jumped into the ring with the mic and asked Sting who his final opponent is going to be at Revolution, since obviously nobody knows. Before Sting can answer, we have the return of the Young Bucks as they come out.
Super kick party!
Honestly, they looked like Cuban versions of Spy versus Spy.
That was pretty good. That was pretty good.
I don't know what they were wearing, but Nick was in all white and just a white cap, and Matt was in all black and had a mustache.
They both had mustaches.
They were there.
They both had mustaches.
Matt's was much more pronounced. His was much longer. Obviously, we haven't seen the Bucks in a long while. I think since they lost to Kenny and Jericho at I think was that the last pay-per-view? Or no, two pay-per-views ago. Been a minute, either way. And they've obviously seemingly come out to challenge Sting and Darby Allin for Sting's last match at Revolution. As we started the show with this comment, James, and you kind of just alluded to it again. Seemingly a little bit of a controversial call here. I think most people thought Sting's final match was, as you said, going to be against Darby Allin. And instead it appears that we're going to have Darby and Sting go off against, two of the founders of the company in Matt and Nick Jackson. So very, very interesting turn of events here as we head towards Sting's final match.
No, absolutely. Look, if it was going to be a tag match, which I think was probably always in the cards, because I don't know if Sting wants to wrestle a singles match or feels confident enough to do a singles match, which more power to him if he feels that's what's best for him. If you're going to go out on a tag match, there are very few teams that make more sense to retire against than the Young Bucks. I'm sure there are people who could have made an argument for FTR. I'm sure there are teams that you could have made a good argument for. Maybe House of Black. Did Sting and Darby ever take on House of Black?
I feel like they did.
Right?
I'll double check that. It feels like they had to.
But Sting is from California. He proudly waves that Californian flag, and the Bucks do too. So maybe there is something to this. Maybe there is that sense of camaraderie that will be explored in this, or at least is one of the catalysts for why this happened backstage. But again, take all that California stuff out of it. You have the Young Bucks, who are probably one of the greatest tag teams, if not the greatest tag team of the modern age, going against Sting and Darby. It's going to be a hell of a match. And let's also
according to Reddit, it was Sting, Darby Allin, and Miro against that.
Yes, I remember that. That was very weird when that happened.
All Out 2022.
Yeah, I remember. That was weird. But regardless of all that, beyond all that, we got to take into account too, the Young Bucks are heels now. You know, like we saw them, the last we saw them, they were having a tantrum that they lost to Kenny and Jericho, destroying chairs, throwing their sneakers. They were upset, and all reports are that they are heels right now. Sting and Darby needed A-grade heels to go out against. And I'm not advocating one way or the other if Sting should lose or not in his final match. The fan in me wants to see Sting go undefeated in his AEW run. But I also have an idea that Sting likes to, he likes to give back to the business, and he's probably going to go out on his shield, and it's going to be a great way to get the Bucks heel heat. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I am very much looking forward to the match. I'm glad the Bucks aren't I know you joked about their appearance looking like the Spy versus Spy guys, which very accurate, by the way. Very
Cuban
well
Spy versus Spy.
But I'm so glad they're wearing something other than the douchey button downs and short shorts that they've been wearing for so long, and the stupid hats and the earrings and everything. This feels like a more serious take on the Bucks. And I think they've needed a change like this for a while. So bring it on. Very, 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 very much looking forward to this match. And I'm interested to see what shenanigans come in.
Yeah, my initial thought was shock. And then I was like, are they having a match before Revolution? Because I think everybody just assumed, me included, it was going to be Darby versus Sting.
Yeah,
and it made the most amount of sense, especially because, like you said, Sting is going to want to give back, and he's probably going to go out on his back. And giving that win to Darby and a passing of the torch, again, as you said, made a whole lot of sense. Instead, we now have the Bucks come in, and it's very clearly going to be a tag match. And I was honestly a little remiss in mentioning that Darby is very, very up for this challenge. Sting, I don't know if his head was seriously hit or he was acting, but I'm going to guess
he looked weary. He looked weary.
He looked weary. He looked unsure, even a little shocked. And, I think JR said, it's rare we see Sting shocked, except probably since the Shockmaster. So it's going to be a very interesting storyline here. And it does open up the opportunity for Sting to go undefeated. I think if he was in a singles match, we all know what was happening, especially if it was Darby. We all knew Darby was going to beat him. And if he was facing off against somebody, say, FTR could have been a fine choice, but they have tagged with Sting. Yep. They're friends. So it would have been weird for that to happen because, it would have been all respectful and whatever. And then if FTR beats him, yeah, sure, it's a great win for FTR, but it's very Shawn Michaels, I'm sorry, I love you at the end there. And we've seen that. So if somebody is going to beat him, again, two of the founders of the company, two of the biggest stars in your company that you built the company upon, who are just freshly turned heel again, taking out one of the greatest stars ever. Yeah, it's a pretty good way to do it.
No, absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
I'm talking myself into it a little, but it's just because it was so out of left field for me.
I do want to address some of the people who are against this idea. I had a friend reach out to me after Dynamite ended, and he was like, and they booked themselves in Sting's last match. And I think it needs to be addressed that there are going to be people that, and nothing against my friend who reached out to me and said that, because he's what I like to call one of the smarter wrestling fans. You know, he gets how the business works. He understands why
a smart.
Kind
of like us.
He understands why certain decisions are made, but there are going to be people who, no matter what, they don't like the Bucks. They don't like the Bucks. The Bucks have historically, throughout their careers, have always had people who just were against them and didn't like them. Sometimes there are very real criticisms and very real complaints. Sometimes it's just they don't like the cut of their jib. So there are going to be people who are going to be disappointed that the Bucks are Sting's last match. And if you were somebody who was disappointed because you wanted Darby to be Sting's last match, I completely respect that. I completely get that. But if you're disappointed about this match because you don't like the Young Bucks and you think they gave themselves special treatment to get this match, I do think you need to look at the circumstances because, again, as I said before, like them or not, they're one of the most high-profile tag teams in all of professional wrestling and have been for the last, decade? If they're not number one, their names are in the conversation alongside the Usos, alongside New Day, alongside FTR. Their names have consistently been, or alongside the Briscoes, their names have been consistently in that conversation. And
I think
I can't.
You throw in Motor City Machine Guns,
yeah.
And that's probably the list.
Yeah. Well put. Motor City Machine Guns. Completely agree.
And then that's it. That's the list. I guess the Hardys too, but they've been around for so long.
Yeah. The Hardys were the 2000s.
Yeah.
The Bucks
of this
were definitely
generation.
Yeah, exactly. So I think there is no better team that AEW has to offer for this matchup. My honest to God opinion.
Yeah, because even the ones we've said, like I already said, like why FTR shouldn't do it, and they already faced House of Black and beat them, so that would be, a repeat match.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm just racking my brain here. Bullet Club Gold is busy.
Yeah. And even then, it wouldn't feel big enough for me. Nothing against Bullet Club Gold, but they just don't feel like the right guys either.
Like Jay and Juice, like they're not a team.
Yeah.
And you're not putting the Ass Boys over Sting. I'm sorry. So, yeah, the Bucks make the most logical sense. Now, I would like to point out, it is It's January 10th. This is until March 3rd, the pay-per-view. So it's actually currently now January 11th because it's after tonight. But this is a March 3rd pay-per-view. There is a lot of time here. So this could be a little bit of a red herring. This could be a match that happens before Revolution, and maybe we do end up getting Darby versus Sting. Things can change. All we saw was the Young Bucks come out and stare down Sting and Darby. We don't know shit. So we're obviously, we're all going to guess this is the match, and we're all going to speculate about it and, argue the pros and cons of it as we've just been doing. But so let's take a deep breath here and let it play out, because maybe we get both. It would be nice to have Sting have a partner who doesn't turn on him, even though I don't think him and Darby having a match means Darby's turning on him.
And I agree.
I think Darby Sting would just be like, no, you're facing me. That's how I want to go out. And Darby's going to beg and plead no. And then Sting's going to be like, no, you're doing it, bitch. And he'll do it.
Maybe the Bucks will be their last tag team match.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the retirement of their tag team.
Yeah. And that would also work very, very well. So hopefully they don't do it on Collision. So there's a lot, like I said, there's a lot of time here. There's a lot of stuff they can do. And I'm not concerned. Either way, we're more than likely getting that match at some point. And I think it is going to be an absolute banger of a match and a very smart match at that. The final boss for tag teams in AEW is the Bucks.
Absolutely.
So, well, it's the Bucks and FTR, and they're friends with FTR, so it's the Bucks. All right, but that was Dynamite. I thought it was actually pretty good show. Surprisingly, not a lot of segments. I think we had more matches tonight, and they were longer. Not as many promos. We only had a few. I think only one of them was really – well, two of them were in the ring, but one of them was right after a match. Everything else was pretty much backstage interviews and video packages and stuff, which made the episode feel a little shorter. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe it was longer just because it was so less compressed. This episode was definitely shorter, even with all of our shenanigans. Because I guess it was just a little bit less to talk about. But James, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. It definitely felt like an older Dynamite, which I think we've been saying a lot recently, which I think is a good thing. We also had a lot of really good matches, and it just all harkened back to the Daily's Place days. And obviously the tributes to Mr. Brody Lee were the cherry on top of what I thought was a very good Dynamite episode.
Well put. I don't want to be one of those people who go back and talk about AEW like, oh, do you remember the good old days of AEW? Do you remember the early years? Because
the good old days.
I still very much love current AEW. I really do.
Yeah, same.
But it is very nice to take a look back at what made the product feel different back then. Tonight was a great example of what felt like early AEW to me. And I think I commented on that last week as well. I love Daily's Place. I love that a lot of people made their first appearances in Daily's Place tonight. I love that some people said goodbye to Daily's Place tonight, like Sting. This was a very fun episode of AEW. In a lot of ways, felt very important. And in a lot of ways, felt very, not run of the mill, but like staying the course after last week. I think we're definitely due for a very big AEW sooner than later. But I very much enjoyed this for what it was. And I'm really looking forward to Collision. Gotta say, I'm looking forward to Collision this Saturday. I won't be watching it live because we will be covering TNA Hard to Kill here on the podcast, and we'll talk about that again in a second. But AEW, I think, is in a good place. They're not super, super hot, but they're the one thing that they've needed, I think they're finding, and that's consistency. So cheers to AEW. Cheers to everybody who made tonight's show as great as it was. And I'm looking forward to Collision, and I'm looking forward to next week's Dynamite. I'm even looking forward to Rampage this week.
Yeah, I mean, title match with Eddie and Wheeler on Rampage, which isn't that terrible. And no. Eddie can sweep the BCC, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
They said on commentary, I think Shivani called this like the new era of AEW. And he's right. This has been a bit of a soft reset after after World's End.
Yeah.
Because you lost MJF and he lost the title, and you have a new champ in Samoa Joe. You don't have Kenny Omega for the time being, unfortunately. Up until tonight, you didn't have the Bucks there for a minute, but they're back now. And they're heels. Heel Adam Cole with a new faction. A lot of stuff switched around at World's End. And there's a lot of new people who are in new positions, and it's cool. And we're kind of slowly working our way into this new era, as they called it. And it's been good. It has allowed them to get back a little more to their roots while using new people that they have gotten over the last few years, some of them from WWE, some of them from other places. And I think they're on a very good trajectory right now. I agree with you. I think that at some point that they're going to have to kick it into the next gear a little bit. It doesn't have to be every week, but we're going to need a big one at some point, probably at the midway point between now and Revolution, just to really kick things to high gear as we head towards that pay-per-view. But that's every wrestling show. You have a big one as you get closer to the pay-per-view. Well, especially with AEW. WWE has a fucking pay-per-view every month, so every episode needs to be somewhat big at some point. But for AEW especially, they always have a big one right in the middle. And I think we're gearing up towards that. We're going to see some explosive shit. And it's going to be good. So I'm enjoying this new trajectory, this new direction. And honestly, it feels like a bit more of peacetime in AEW than the previous wartime I think they had been having with certain people on the roster. Now that they're gone and all that is over, and we've kind of wiped the slate clean here for a little while.
Yeah.
I think that they can just move on, get past it, and get back to what they do best, which is just fucking some really good wrestling. You know who I meant. I don't Phil Brooks, Walking Dead enthusiast. All right. That wraps up tonight's show. So I'd like to thank everybody so much for watching us here at the Mark It Down podcast. Tonight was insane. Danny came out of nowhere. Producer boy just kept randomly checking in from a hospital. I hope his friend is doing okay. But if you enjoyed the chaos, you can like and subscribe. And if you didn't, I swear to God, it's usually not this chaotic. So please like and subscribe anyway. But you should definitely do so because, as James said, we are reviewing Hard to Kill this weekend. And James, I believe you have some announcements about our show for that pay-per-view.
Well, a couple of announcements for the show in general this week. We will be covering Friday Night SmackDown this week. Going to have a surprise in store for the show if you tune in, but we will be covering Friday Night SmackDown for what I believe is maybe the first or second time in the podcast history. So please tune in Friday night. If we're good, we might even tune in to Rampage. We'll see. But moving on to Saturday, TNA's Hard to Kill. We will be covering the pay-per-view as Impact is no more and TNA is once again. We will be doing a giveaway. We announced it earlier this week, and we are continuing. We've already gotten some good response to it. Hopefully, we will be getting some more people. But all you got to do, guys, if you're interested in joining the giveaway, if you're following us already, just send us a DM saying hi, that you want to partake. If you're new, hit that follow button, subscribe to us here on YouTube for one entry. If you follow us on all of our social media platforms, you gain an entry for every social media platform that you follow us on. And again, just DM us proof that you're following and we'll get you. And then on Saturday, when
James, what about the audio platforms? If you follow us on Apple Music or Spotify, I believe that earns you an entry as well, or at least it should.
Likewise, if you follow us anywhere, if you DM us proof that you're following, you get an entry to this giveaway where we'll be giving away autographs from some of your favorite TNA superstars. As of right now, we are planning on giving away 3 items. Depending on how many people join, those items we may get a little bit more. We're keeping it a little close to the vest right now, but some very exciting items, some very fun items from, like I said, your favorite TNA superstars. All you got to do, hit follow, hit like, and then on Saturday, after Hard to Kill is finished airing, we will be doing our live review of the show, as always. And during the show, if you just comment on the live video, you gain an extra entry. So I think you're looking at least 6 to 7 entries, not including the audio platforms as well. So guys, we're trying to give this stuff to you. We're trying. You just got to follow us. You already like us, so you might as well. But looking forward to Saturday, we're going to have a lot of the pod with us. Not Rev, unfortunately, because he has a familial birthday, and we respect birthdays and family here at the Mark It Down podcast, or at the very least, in the Gym Pack Zone we do. But yeah, Rev, you will be missed, but we will have other members of the pod on Saturday, and looking forward to starting this new TNA journey with all of you guys.
Yeah, like James said, just follow us wherever, DM us. If it's not on the social media platform, take a screenshot of your subscription here on YouTube or on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever it is. DM us that screenshot on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever it is. You can check out all of our social media stuff in the description below here over on YouTube. For the Spotify listeners, like, what is it? We're at youtube.com/marketdown335, I want to say. So if you want to just have an easy link to come over here and get all the Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok stuff, or we're pretty much just at marketdown_pod on most social media platforms. I will work on getting those social media links into the Spotify description and the Apple podcast descriptions just to make it easier for you guys. But in the meantime, there is that. And you're going to definitely, when you come to the Gym Pack Zone on Saturday, you're going to want to stick around the entire show. So you don't want to enter, leave, and then miss your call, because then, you know, then we're going to have to move on and give it to somebody else. But I've seen some of the stuff. It's really cool. And shout out Josh Alexander. He's a really good guy. Met him last week. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, I think I got through everything. You know, the usual like and subscribe and the social media stuff. So, James, any last thoughts?
Welcome to the Gym Pack Zone. See you guys soon.
Welcome to TNA Gym Packed.
Oh yeah.
All right.
TN Bay, baby. TN Bay. One of eight shirts. One of 8 shirts, guys.
Oh, that's right. I forgot you got that. James and I went to House of Glory. It was awesome. Shout out main event. But for James Santi, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching us here at the Market Down Podcast. We hope to see you Friday and Saturday. And have a good one, everyone. And now I have to fill because I forgot I was producing. So, all right, there's the thing. Bye.
Bye.